Hi, my name is Allyson Delnore. I'm the Associate Director of the European Studies Center at the University of Pittsburgh. I've been involved in the Brussels Study Tour for a number of years, and I am also the grant writer, or the principal grant writer for our European Studies Center. So I've written grants for the European Union, for our funding from the U.S. Department of Education, and for many other sources. I know what it's like to write a proposal and a grant, and I've read a lot of the proposals for the Brussels Study Tour, so we thought this might be a good opportunity to give you some insider's information on how to prepare the best application that you can for the Brussels Study Tour for educators. So first, I'd like to run through a little bit about the program, a kind of broad overview, and then I want to get into the weeds on how to make your application the strongest you can, from the details, what we really like in those boxes, to how to write the kind of really competitive personal statement that'll really set you apart from others, or at least get you noticed. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, so what is the Brussels Study Tour? This is a study tour for educators. It's been run for a number of years under different iterations, but the principal goal is to teach people more about the EU, to become more familiar with Europe, the European project, what the EU is, what it was intended to be at its origins, and where it's developing from here, how it's changed over time. But to do it while in Brussels, so you're learning firsthand from European officials and from people who work with the EU in nonprofits and other capacities. We receive funding and we have a partnership, but the partnership receives funding from a number of sources, principal of which is a Getting to Know Europe grant from the European Union, which is administered through the EU delegation to the US, so like the embassy. And then we also support it through our national resource centers at some of these various universities I'm about to tell you about. And that grant is funded through the U.S. Department of Education. This year, this is a partnership of 3 universities. So we saw on the slide, in the previous slide, the logos of those. So in addition to the University of Pittsburgh, we work with the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and their Center for European Studies, as well as the Miami, Florida EU Center and at Florida International University in Miami. And we're really excited to be working with them and to be able to give this opportunity to more teachers in more places. So again, we want teachers, educators in K through 16, so from elementary school all the way to post-secondary. And we want a diverse group of educators at various levels, all working together and to form a kind of community, to advise each other, to learn from each other while you're learning in place about the European Union. And this year, for the first time, we're going to be adding site visits in Luxembourg as well, in order to give you a better sense and to give participants a better sense of the fact that the EU doesn't really have a capital. It has a lot of institutions in Brussels, but Brussels isn't exactly the capital. So we want to go to other places where institutions are to give you a better sense of how they're distributed around Europe. In order to accommodate that Luxembourg trip and some better professional development while we're on the ground, we've added an extra day to the program. So now it runs from Sunday to Sunday, always in June. So check the calendar on the website where you found this video to see what the exact dates are for the year. In addition to that study tour from Sunday to Sunday, we expect all participants, all selected participants, to attend virtual meetings, one before the trip, a kind of orientation, and then a couple after the trip too. And you'll have those dates well in advance, and we ask you to block them off as part of the experience. So I can speak a little bit more about that later. As I said, this trip is for educators and anywhere in K through 16 world. So we have a specific number set aside for K through 12 teachers, and we have a specific number set aside for faculty at community colleges and minority serving institutions of higher education, or MSIs, so post-secondary educators. These grants are open to educators in any discipline. It doesn't have to be social studies, for example. And teaching any grade. We've had people teaching classes for as young as second graders attend, and we've had people at the community college and MSI level. We're looking for people who can demonstrate a desire to learn more about the EU and to teach their students what they learn. So this is looking for multipliers. We want people who will infuse the EU into their curriculum in ways that they wouldn't or couldn't have done before they took this trip. So more information about this would be sent to you in an award letter where you accepted for the trip, but just to give you some idea what is covered, our partner centers will subsidize airfare for all selected participants selected in this search, in this national search. We have slots that are specifically set aside for faculty and educators from our regions, so Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida, but this is a national search, so we take people from any U.S. state. So in addition to a subsidized airfare, which is about 1,000 euros towards your round trip airfare, we will pay for 7 nights of accommodations. This is double occupancy, so we ask that you share a room, but the opportunity is there for you not to have to share if you don't want to. Hotel breakfasts are covered, and there's a picture of it for you. It's quite a nice spread at the hotel we use, which is a nice 4-star hotel right near everything in the heart of the EU district in Brussels. We also will cover the round trip train transport for our day trip to Luxembourg and 1 group dinner that we'll all have together. What is not covered is any transportation costs you have over that 1,000 euros that we will subsidize, including any ground transportation. So we have tips on how to affordably get around. Most meals would be on your own. Any personal expenses, souvenirs, toiletries, etc. And there is a $275 administrative fee, which is non-refundable. We do have waivers for that in cases of hardship. And in addition, as I mentioned, there is an opportunity if there's availability at the hotel to not have to share a room or to bring a companion with you. But that would incur additional costs that we would expect you to cover. And it is important to know that if you do bring a companion, even if they are staying in that hotel room and you're paying the extra cost, they will not be able to attend any of the site visits, mostly because there's just space limitations in a lot of the places we'll be going. Okay, so let's get to the reason that you really wanted to watch this in the first place. What are we looking for in the completed application? Well, when you're on the website, and there's a link to it, there are separate applications, whether you're a K through 12 teacher or a post-secondary educator. So you'll want to click on that, but they're basically the same and asking for similar information. We just keep the tool pools separate because we have different funding allocations for them. So the first step will be completing your information. We ask that you give a title to the application. Now, a lot of people think that we mean title like whether you're Dr., Ms. or Mr. Actually, no. We would like the application to have a title. And so we recommend on that page, and if you read the instructions along the side, it'll tell you that you title your submission with your first and last name and then the date of the application, so the date you're completing it. Then, of course, your name, that's your full legal name. It doesn't have to be exactly what shows up on your passport. We'll confirm that if you are selected, and we need to get your full legal name for from your passport. But just, your name, just put that in there. Your organization or school district, if you're a K through 12 teacher, so who you're affiliated with at the district level and the school. And then if you're a college level instructor, then what is the name of your college or your institution? The state in which your affiliated organization is based. So some people may live in another state and drive across the border to teach. I used to do that. So we want to know the state in which your particular school district or college is based. And then what is your title? What do you do? Are you a it can just be something as simple as second grade teacher, or you might want to be more specific and drill down because you have specific things that you teach and you have a specific title. And then we ask you to tell us exactly what grades you currently teach or what discipline you teach if you're at the post-secondary level. And then if you are a Florida resident, then then click on that you're applying through FIU, Florida International University. If you're a North Carolina resident, you want to click that you're applying through the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. If you are a Pennsylvania resident, you'll want to highlight that you're applying for the Pitt Regional Search because you're near Pitt. And if you are none of those 3 states, don't worry, we select a lot of people from outside of those states. So just click the national search so that we know that you're part of the national pool of applicants applying. And then we ask at the K through 12 level, if you're a K through 12 teacher, we just ask you to give us some background on your teaching experience. For everybody, we ask for your home address, your permanent home address, so where you would want us to receive letters. And please give that exactly how we would address it for an envelope for your award letter, for example. We need your full address, street, city, zip code, the full 9 yards. Your phone number, that should be the number easiest to reach you in case we have any questions, and your email address, which will be the primary point of contact that we have with you, particularly in this period at the pandemic. Then for K through 12 teachers, we also have an option to indicate that you may be submitting an application with somebody as a part of a team. And so we give you the opportunity to tell us who is also submitting an application, and you guys are linked. But we would ask you to then explain in the personal statements how you would work together. So we really do encourage team-based applications, particularly that cross disciplines or make unique connections between subjects that might not be kind of done normally. We've had people apply as like a librarian and a social studies teacher. We've had people apply as a math teacher and an English teacher. So there's all sorts of really interesting ideas out there, and we don't want to limit your creativity. So please, think what would be the best, what would we be able to serve the students best with, and what do we really think that we can make happen? And we'd like to see you be as creative as possible within those parameters. All right, so on this second part of the application, this is really where we get a little bit more subjective. We want to learn more about you, and we need you to describe yourself so that we can understand why you want to do this trip and how you might benefit from this trip. And we can better make decisions in selecting our cohort. So first, we ask everybody to give us a little rundown on their previous international experience. And I think many people get hung up on this, sometimes thinking that if they don't have much travel experience, that's a bad thing. It is not. Or if they have a lot of travel experience, it is by necessity a good thing, which doesn't have to be. So we're looking for a diverse cohort every group that we take to Brussels. And so if we have people who have a lot of experience traveling and who might make great mentors, and they've done a lot of professional development travel, that's great, but we don't want the whole trip of everybody who has all that experience. We'd also love to be able to be the first international travel and professional development experience for teachers. That is something we also would really like, and we want to have a nice cohort of people who can really teach each other and learn from each other while we're also learning in place, as I said before. So, be honest, just give us your previous international experience, and know that that's it's good wherever you are. We want to meet you where you actually are. So then we have the personal statements. The first personal statement, think about it as the general goals. So this is letting us know a little bit more about how this might inspire you personally. How do you think that this experience might be formative to you as an individual? What are your broad goals for traveling to Brussels and Luxembourg? How might it enhance your instruction? Again, you're thinking about the kind of like long-term objectives. Are there specific needs that your students have expressed to you? Do they ask questions that you don't feel comfortable answering or you don't feel capable of answering? Do you see a gap, a knowledge gap in your students, and you wish you could fill it better? Do you see specific gaps in what the students should know in order to better understand the curriculum and how you could teach them? And that this would exactly serve that purpose. So just give us exactly what you think you might benefit from this in terms of your teaching and your personal professional goals. It is, of course, okay to speculate about what those potential impacts might be. We know that you haven't been on the trip yet, so you don't know what might actually happen when you get there. So speculate, that's fine. But do give us kind of specific ideas about what needs you hope to address, what goals you have for the trip. We're not going to hold you to them, though. And a little tip, be sure to focus on the EU and not just that you're going to be in Brussels and maybe near like World War I sites that are really exciting. You will be, and you may have a chance to visit them, but we're really interested in teaching people about the EU, and that is what we have the funding to do. And so we want to know what are your specific goals related to learning more about the EU and not just eating really good chocolate in Belgium. I'm not going to lie, you're going to get to eat really good chocolate in Belgium, but you know, focus on the EU. All right, the second personal statement, we think, you know, I've got this little target here. That's more about the specific objectives. What specifically do you hope to learn about the EU, and how are you going to incorporate that knowledge that you gain into your curriculum? We'd love for you to reference particular courses or particular units within those courses. What are some things that you want to teach, that you aspire to teach, but you don't already teach? Or how would you enhance the existing classes that you have, that you do currently teach? Again, it's okay to speculate. We know you don't know exactly what you're going to learn when you're there. Even if we gave you the full list and it was set in stone about exactly where we would go, you still don't know what they're going to say to you. So you may learn things that will totally change and upend your plans, and you'll design an entirely new curriculum because of it. But, you know, that's fine if that happens, and I hope it happens. But it's okay at this point to just speculate and kind of give us some sense of what your hopes are for the trip. Again, like I said earlier in the beginning of this, we're looking for knowledge multipliers. We want to find educators who will then go out and tell more people about this. So can you explain to us how what you learn will then help other people to know more about the EU, whether it's just through telling your students about specific concepts, ideas, history, political organization, economic approaches, the ways in which you would talk about language policy, whatever. Or it also could be you are a curriculum supervisor and you're going to help develop curriculum for a district. Or it could be that you will then travel to professional conferences and tell other people about your ideas for how to infuse EU into the curriculum. But we'd love to know your ways in which you're going to be a knowledge multiplier, because that's what we're looking for really when it comes down to it. And if you can convey those things to us in the application, it just makes your application much more competitive. So I mentioned that we want you to focus in on the EU, but I thought I'd give you a little picture of some of the less modern parts of Brussels that you will see if you go on this trip. So this is the Grand Place. Want to get people excited for this experience. So when you're completing the application, I think there's some things you should know about what are some special considerations that the selection committee makes when they're determining who will be the cohort that goes in a specific summer. So as I said, we hope to have a diverse cohort as much as possible. That is our goal. We are looking for people who could be potential mentors for others because they are already experienced travelers, experienced teachers, but we're also looking for early stage teachers, people, you know, junior teachers and first travel experiences. We have stuff set aside for teachers in training. So wherever you are in your professional development, we want to meet you there, and we want to see how we can help you grow. We definitely look for people who have potential as knowledge multipliers wherever they are at whatever stage in their career. This kind of willingness to do that, I think, is really important to us. We're also looking for innovative ideas. Sure, we are also ready to have people who say, look, I just need to know about the EU so that I can teach European, politics better. That's fine too. But if you've got an innovative idea about how to infuse EU topics into subjects that don't traditionally cover the EU, hey, we want to hear them. That would be great. If you have an innovative idea for a way in which you can team teach something, or you could develop a kind of module that goes across subjects for students, we want to hear about that too. We hope that everybody who's applying, and certainly everybody who's accepted, is open to learning more about the EU and to exploring a foreign city. We also really hope to find people who are willing to remain engaged and to continue learning and continue their professional development and remain engaged with our centers, because we do a lot more than just run this Brussels study tour, and we'd like this to be the beginning of a longer term relationship moving forward in terms of developing professional development related to the EU. So those are some of the considerations that we make when we're selecting people. So that covers most of what I wanted to talk about. One of the goals for this program is to help you develop new curriculum. And so we are really putting the emphasis on curriculum development, and we've incorporated new opportunities to do that even while we're still in Brussels. But certainly that is one of the major goals of the sessions that we have, the 2 video conferences that we have after the Brussels study tour. So we're looking forward to hearing your ideas, what you want to do. We are interested in learning from you as much as you are going to learn from us. If you have additional questions about how to make the most competitive application, about what to expect on the trip, or whatever you have a question about, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Allyson Delnore, and my contact information is on the website, or my colleague who does a super job of organizing this trip every year and who is our engagement coordinator, and that's Samantha Moik. And her email address is up on this slide. Feel free to reach out to her if you have any questions. Otherwise, we really look forward to reading your applications and hopefully to meeting you and seeing you in Brussels. Thanks. Bye.